Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to sit through the data, find the core insights, and basically give you that shortcut to being really well informed. Today, we're jumping into, well, a really critical and fast-growing area, the global IT strategy consulting provider services market. Our mission: to pull out the key takeaways from the Global IT Strategy Consulting Market Forecast 2025-2033. This comes from Cognitive Market Research. We'll look at how things are changing, where the market stands now, and what the road looks like up to 2033. Okay, let's unpack this. So starting with the big picture globally. In 2021, this market was already huge, right? Around $47.5 billion.
That's right. Impressive baseline.
And the projections are even more so. By 2025, it's expected to climb over $62.7 billion. And then by 2033, it's forecast to nearly double again, hitting, what, over $109 billion?
Exactly. Over $109 billion. And what's really striking, I think, isn't just the final number, it's a consistency. That compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, sits at a steady 7.2%.
7.2%.
And that tells you something. It's not just, businesses buying more software. It signals this really robust demand linked to how companies everywhere are grappling with digital transformation.
Right. It's fundamental.
It is. They're rethinking core strategies, leveraging tech for, well, everything. Agility, efficiency, getting an edge. That's why this specific market is so crucial, not just for individual businesses, but frankly, for the whole global economy.
Okay, that sets the global stage really well. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. When we start breaking it down by region, the differences can be quite surprising. Let's kick off with North America.
Okay.
So back in 2021, the market there was already over $20 billion.
A significant chunk of the global total, yeah.
And it's growing at a QAGR of almost 7%, specifically 6.941%. Expected to hit over $44.8 billion by 2033.
Solid growth, definitely.
Now, within North America, the U.S. predictably leads in size. Started at $16.3 billion in 2021, growing to nearly $35 billion by 2033, but its CAGR is a bit lower, around 6.6%.
Still substantial, given the base.
Absolutely. But then you look north and south. Canada started smaller, $2.1 billion or so.
Right.
But it's showing stronger growth, nearly 8% CAGR. Expected to reach almost $5.6 billion.
Okay, that's noteworthy. Faster pace.
And then Mexico. This one really caught my eye. Started at about $1.6 billion. Forecast to more than double, hitting $4.6 billion by 2033. And the CAGR there, an impressive 8.6%, one of the highest in the region.
That is fascinating, isn't it? Mexico's higher growth rate. It's not just a number. It suggests perhaps a market that's in a faster phase of catching up or maybe even leapfrogging some older tech infrastructure that you might see in the US or Canada.
Leapfrogging. Interesting term.
Yeah, I mean, it could be driven by certain industries going through massive digital shifts or maybe a wider push for digital adoption that's really taking hold now. It really flags where some of the hottest growth opportunities might be, even within a mature region like North America.
Makes sense. Okay, so from those dynamics in North America, let's pivot to Europe. How does that landscape compare? The overall European market was valued at about almost $8.4 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to nearly double, hitting $18.2 billion by 2033. The CAGR is steady, around 6.7%.
Slightly lower than North America overall, but still very healthy growth.
Right. But when you dig into the countries, it's a real mix. The UK, for example, shows strong growth, over 7.8% CAGR. Germany's solid, too, about 7.1%.
Strong economies there.
France and Spain are growing steadily, both in the 6% range. Italy and Russia a bit lower, just under 6%.
Okay.
But then you have places like Switzerland and Luxembourg. Much more modest growth rates, actually below 5%.
Right, that's interesting. 4.9% for Switzerland, 4.75% for Luxembourg. Quite a contrast to the UK.
Exactly. And then somewhat counterintuitively, the rest of Europe category that's showing really robust growth, almost 8% CAGR.
Yeah, 7.994%. So this raises an important question, doesn't it? What's driving these variations within Europe?
Good question. What do you think?
Well, you look at Switzerland and Luxembourg. Maybe these are already highly mature digital economies, right? Their IT needs might be more about optimization, fine-tuning, rather than fundamental large-scale transformation, which drives bigger consulting spend.
So less room for explosive growth.
Perhaps, whereas the higher growth in the UK, or especially that rest of Europe basket, could point to economies that are maybe pushing digital transformation more aggressively now, or perhaps there are regulatory drivers, things forcing big IT system changes. It just highlights the diverse economic stages even on one continent.
That's a really good point about maturity impacting the type of demand. Okay, let's talk Asia-Pacific now. This region often gets flagged as a digital powerhouse.
Absolutely. And the numbers back that up.
Nearly $11.4 billion back in 2021.
Yep.
And projected to more than double, reaching over $27.7 billion by 2033. The CAGR here is impressive 7.685%.
Higher than Europe, higher than North America overall. Significant momentum.
And the country breakdown is, well, pretty dynamic. China and Japan are the largest markets, naturally.
Right.
Big economies.
China's growing at nearly 7.9%, Japan around 7.1%. Solid numbers.
Solid.
But India, wow. Starting from $1.5 billion, it's projected to hit over $3 billion by 2033. That's an 8.4% CAGR. Really strong.
India's growth is consistently high across many tech sectors, so that fits.
Yeah. South Korea and Australia are also growing well, over 7%. Singapore, a bit lower, around 6.3%. But then two standouts again. Southeast Asia as a whole, 8.8% CAGR.
Very strong.
And Taiwan, leading the entire region. Started at $376 million, but growing at an incredible 9.5% CAGR.
9.5%. That's huge. So if we connect this back to the bigger picture,
Go on.
Asia-Pacific isn't just growing fast. It feels like it's accelerating past certain stages, like that leapfrogging idea again. Countries like Taiwan, India, parts of Southeast Asia, they might be bypassing older systems, investing straight into next-gen capabilities.
Driven by what?
Yeah.
Young populations,
Young
government initiative. Probably a mix of both. Digitally native populations plus often very ambitious government policies pushing digital economies. This creates just immense demand for strategic IT advice as businesses navigate completely new tech landscapes and try to grab those emerging market opportunities.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. From that explosive growth, let's turn to South America.
Right.
A different picture here. The market was just over $3 billion in 2021.
Okay, smaller base.
Projected to reach over $6.3 billion by 2033. The CAGR is steady, but more moderate, 6.12%.
Consistent, but not the same acceleration we saw in APAC.
Exactly. Brazil leads the region, about $1.3 billion in 2021, growing at 6.5%. Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile. They're all showing consistent growth, too, mostly in the 5 to high 6% range. Colombia is actually strongest among those at 6.8%.
Okay, so pretty stable across the board.
Pretty much. The rest of South America category is a bit lower, under 5% CGR, but overall it's a picture of steady, sustained expansion rather than rapid doubling.
Yeah, what we see there is, like you said, consistent, moderately paced growth. It suggests a steady push towards digital adoption.
Right.
It might not have that explosive feel of parts of Asia, but the consistent need for IT strategy consulting shows businesses are increasingly seeing the value.
The value in what specifically?
In digital transformation for, improving how they operate, reaching customers better. There's probably still a lot of untapped potential as more businesses in these markets look to really optimize their IT.
Right, potential for future growth there.
Okay.
That brings us to the Middle East. This region shows, significant expansion potential, worth nearly $2.5 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to grow to over $6.1 billion by 2033. And the CAGR is robust, 7.91%, higher than the global average.
Very strong, close to 8%.
And looking at the countries, Saudi Arabia and Turkey are both growing strongly,
Right.
around 7.6%, 7.7%.
Good numbers.
But the UAE is a real standout. It started at $467 million in 2021.
Right.
Projected to hit $1.2 billion by 2033. That's an 8.5% CAGR. Very powerful growth.
8.5%, yeah, that's significant.
Egypt and Qatar are also showing solid growth, between 7% and 8%. And again, the rest of the Middle East category is surging over 9% 3GR.
Wow. Okay. So that high regional PGR, especially the rapid growth in places like the UAE or that rest of Middle East basket, it really points directly to those ambitious national digital transformation plans we hear about.
Like diversifying economies away from oil.
Exactly. Big investments in smart cities, knowledge economies. It's often a top-down strategic push. And that creates this huge demand for cutting-edge IT strategy to actually, make those big visions happen. It's not just business-led. It's often nation-led.
Interesting perspective. Okay, finally, let's look at Africa.
The final region, yes.
Recorded just under $2.2 billion in 2021, so starting from a smaller base again.
Right.
But this region is poised for absolutely remarkable growth, expected to more than double, hitting over $6 billion by 2033. And get this, it has the highest regional KGR of all, 9.128%.
9.1%. That is leading the charge, no question.
The country numbers are just as impressive. Nigeria, for instance, $858 million in 2021.
Uh-huh.
Forecast to grow to over $2.5 billion by 2033. That's driven by a 9.7% CAGR.
Nearly 10% annual growth.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And South Africa isn't far behind, started larger, almost $1 billion in 2021.
Right, $985 million.
Projected to reach over $2.8 billion by 2033 with a 9.56% CAGR. Also extremely strong.
Very strong indeed.
Even the rest of Africa category shows healthy growth, around 5.7%.
So Africa's position here, with the highest overall CAGR, really makes it a key driver for the whole industry's future expansion. It's critical.
Why such high growth there?
Well, it seems to be this powerful mix of factors. You've got increasing internet access, huge mobile adoption, often mobile-first strategies, and importantly, a growing recognition among African businesses that they need strong digital foundations to compete, both locally and globally. In many areas, they're adopting digital solutions very rapidly, again, kind of leapfrogging older stages of development. That creates a massive need for strategic IT help. It's a very, very dynamic market right now.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot of numbers, a lot of regions.
Yeah.
So let's try and pull it together. What does this all mean for you, our listener?
Yeah, good question. I think the big takeaway is that this market IT strategy consulting, it isn't just ticking along, it's experiencing really strong, steady growth globally, almost doubling by 2033. But crucially, the data clearly shows these hot spots of really high momentum. Asia Pacific with that 7.7% CAGR, and especially Africa leading the pack at over 9%. These regions are really going to shape the industry's future.
So for the listener, why does this matter?
Well, for you, whether you're maybe a business leader thinking about strategy or a professional looking at career paths, or honestly, even if you're just curious about global economic trends, this intense demand for IT strategy help reflects that relentless digital transformation happening everywhere in nearly every industry. Understanding these shifts, these numbers, it isn't just about market analysis. It's really about getting a handle on the future of business and technology itself. It's about, being ready for what's coming next.
Being prepared.
Exactly. And maybe it prompts a question. Given this consistent accelerating growth, what's the next big thing? What major tech shift or maybe business model change will redefine how companies even look for IT strategy advice in the next 10 years? Will it be AI everywhere? Something else entirely?
A truly fascinating thought to leave you with. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the IT strategy consulting provider services market. Remember, all the data we discussed today was sourced from Cognitive Market Research. We hope this helps you keep exploring that fascinating intersection of digital change and business strategy.